a relentless, icy shriek that tore through the skeletal branches of the ancient pines. Snow, fine as dust and driven by a gale force fury, swirled in blinding whiteout conditions, erasing the already faint lines of the mountain road. Elias Thorne hunched deeper into his worn parka, his breath pluming in thick clouds, as he wrestled with the stubborn chains on his old pickup truck. He was already later than he could afford to be for his evening shift at the remote logging camp. Elias was a man carved from the same rugged landscape he inhabited, his hands rough and calloused from years of carpentry, logging, and odd jobs, were nevertheless capable of surprising gentleness. His face, weathered by sun and wind, was etched with the quiet determination of someone who knew the value of hard work and the unforgiving nature of the wilderness. Life hadn't been easy since his wife passed, leaving him with a mountain of medical bills and a quiet, persistent ache in his soul. But Elias was not one to complain. He simply put one foot in front of the other, faced each day with a stoic resolve, and found solace in the simple rhythms of his life. The scent of sawdust, the warmth of a crackling fire, the occasional shared laugh with a neighbor. Tonight, however, even his usual resilience was being tested. The storm had descended with a ferocity rarely seen this early in the season, transforming the familiar mountain pass into a treacherous, white abyss. He finally secured the chains, his fingers numb, and climbed back into the cab, the old engine sputtering to life with a reluctant cough. He squinted through the rapidly accumulating snow on his windshield, the headlights barely piercing the swirling white curtain. He drove slowly, cautiously, every nerve alert to the unseen dangers of the road. The truck groaned, its tires biting into the fresh powder. Just as he rounded a particularly sharp bend, the faint glimmer of something metallic caught his eye. He slammed on the brakes, the truck skidding slightly before coming to a halt. Through the swirling snow, he saw it. A sleek, black luxury sedan, its front end buried deep in a snowdrift, its hazard lights blinking weakly like dying embers. It was a vehicle utterly out of place on this remote, unplowed road, a beacon of misplaced opulence in the heart of the unforgiving wilderness. Elias hesitated. He was already late. His shift meant money, and money was a constant, pressing concern. But the thought of leaving someone stranded in this blizzard, miles from any town, was unthinkable. He went against every fiber of his being. He cut the engine, grabbed his heavy-duty shovel and a thermos of hot coffee, and stepped back out into the maelstrom. The wind immediately tried to rip the parka from his body, and the snow stung his exposed skin. He fought his way to the sedan, the drifts already waist-high in places. He peered through the frosted window. Inside, a woman was huddled, shivering, her face pale, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and cold. She was dressed in what looked like an expansive, but utterly impractical, cashmere coat, clearly unprepared for the brutal conditions. He tapped on the window. The woman startled, then slowly rolled it down, a crack, a blast of icy air rushing into the car. "Are you all right?" Elias shouted over the wind's roar. "You're stuck pretty bad." Her teeth chattered. I don't know, the car just slid. I tried to call for help, but there's no signal." Her voice was refined, cultured, a stark contrast to the raw wilderness around them. "No signal out here," Elias confirmed. "You're lucky I came by. You can't stay here. Hypothermia will set in fast. My cabin's about a mile back, just off the main trail. It's a room you can wait out the storm in." She looked at him, her eyes assessing, a flicker of suspicion in their depths. "Your cabin, I'm waiting for roadside assistance." Elias sighed, a cloud of vapor in the frigid air. "Ma'am, roadside assistance isn't getting through this. Not tonight. You'll freeze. It's a simple cabin, nothing fancy, but it's got a fire and food. You're safer there than here." He gestured to the swirling white chaos. "It's your call, but I wouldn't wait." She shivered violently, the cold finally overriding her apprehension. "All right," she conceded, her voice barely a whisper. "Thank you." Getting her out of the car and through the snow was a struggle. She was clearly not used to physical exertion, stumbling in the deep drifts. Elias, despite his own fatigue, moved with a steady strength, often supporting her, sometimes half carrying her through the deeper sections. He wrapped his spare scarf around her head, trying to shield her from the biting wind. He didn't know her name or anything about her, but in that moment, she was simply another human being in desperate need, and that was enough. The mile felt like 10. By the time they reached his cabin, a small, sturdy log structure nestled amongst the snow-laden trees. Both of them were shivering. Elias fumbled with the latch, pushed open the heavy wooden door, and ushered her inside. The cabin was a sanctuary of warmth and rustic comfort. A stone fireplace dominated one wall, a cheerful blaze already roaring within, casting dancing shadows on the rough-hewn walls. The air was thick with the comforting scent of pine and woods. A well-worn armchair sat by the fire, covered with a thick, hand-stitched quilt. "Get by the fire," Elias instructed, his voice gruff but kind. He quickly shed his parka, then helped her out of her expensive, snow-soaked coat. He noticed the delicate, almost impossibly thin watch on her wrist, a glint of gold against her pale skin. It looked like something out of a magazine. He set a kettle on the stove, its whistle soon cutting through the quiet. He poured hot water into 2 chipped mugs, adding instant coffee and a generous splash of canned milk. He handed one to her. "Here's not much, but it'll warm you up." She took the mug, her hands trembling slightly, and wrapped her fingers around its warmth. She took a tentative sip, her eyes closing in relief. "Thank you," she said, her voice softer now, less strained. "This is ... wonderful." "No problem," Elias replied, settling into a wooden chair opposite her. He watched her for a moment, noticing the subtle elegance in her posture even as she shivered. She was clearly not from around here. "I'm Elias, by the way." "Eleanor," she replied, her eyes meeting his. They were a striking shade of blue, deep and intelligent, now softened by the warmth of the fire. Elias nodded. "Nice to meet you, Eleanor. You just relax. Storm's not letting up anytime soon." He busied himself, stoking the fire, checking the small pantry. He offered her a bowl of thick, hearty venison stew, warmed on the stove. It was simple, fair, but nourishing. Eleanor ate slowly, savoring each spoonful, a look of genuine appreciation on her face. As the hours passed, the storm raged outside, but inside the cabin, a quiet camaraderie began to form. Eleanor, initially reserved, began to observe Elias. She watched him move about the cabin, his hands efficient and strong as he chopped more firewood, repaired a loose hinge on a cupboard, or simply sat by the fire, carving a small, intricate wooden bird from a block of pine. He didn't ask her about her life, her car, or how she ended up on this remote road. He simply offered warmth, sustenance, and a safe haven. "You're very skilled with your hands," Elias, Eleanor remarked, watching him carve. The bird was taking shape under his deft touch, its wings delicate, its eyes lifelike. "It's just carpentry," he shrugged. "My dad taught me. Used to do it full-time, before things got complicated." He didn't elaborate, but the shadow that crossed his face spoke volumes. "And what do you do now?" she asked gently. "Logging mostly," he replied. "And whatever odd jobs come up, trying to keep the cabin, keep things going." He gestured vaguely around the small space. "It's not much, but it's home." Eleanor's gaze swept over the cabin. It was indeed modest, but it was meticulously clean, filled with the warmth of a life lived simply and honestly. She noticed the worn but sturdy furniture, clearly handmade, the shelves lined with well-loved books, the faint scent of fresh-baked bread that lingered from a previous day. She saw the care, the quiet pride in every detail. She also noticed the subtle signs of financial strain, the patched roof in one corner, the older model wood stove, the well-darned socks hanging by the fire. "Do you enjoy logging?" she asked. Elias paused, considering it pays the bills, but no, not really. "Making things, creating." He held up the half-finished bird. "This is where I feel most myself." Eleanor nodded, her eyes thoughtful. "It's a beautiful piece. You have a true gift." They talked for hours, the fire crackling, the wind howling outside. Elias spoke of his dreams, small, grounded dreams, to open a proper woodworking shop, to teach local kids the craft, to perhaps, one day, build a small community center for the isolated mountain towns. He spoke of the struggles, the endless bills, the feeling of being trapped by circumstances. He spoke with a quiet passion that belied his weariness, a deep-seated desire to contribute, to build, to make a difference, even in his small corner of the world. He never once asked her about her life, her expensive car, or why she was out here. He simply listened, offered comfort, and shared his simple existence. Eleanor, in turn, listened intently. She asked probing questions, not out of idle curiosity, but with a sharp, analytical mind that Elias didn't quite register. She asked about the local economy, the challenges facing small businesses, the specific needs of the community. She spoke little of herself, only that she was traveling for business and had taken a wrong turn. Elias accepted her vague answers without question. He was just grateful she was safe. As dawn broke, painting the eastern sky in hues of soft pink and gold, the storm began to subside. The wind softened to a whisper, and the snow, though still falling lightly, was no longer a blinding curtain. The world outside the cabin was transformed into a pristine, silent landscape of white. "Looks like it's clearing," Elias said, peering out the window. "The snowplows should be through the main road soon." Eleanor stood, stretching slowly. She looked around the cabin, her gaze lingering on the details she had observed throughout the night. She looked at Elias, who was already pulling on his parka, preparing to brave the cold once more. "Elias," she said, her voice clear and strong, "I need to thank you. You saved my life last night. Truly, most people would have driven right past. Just did what anyone would do." Elias shrugged, uncomfortable with the praise. Eleanor smiled, a genuine, warm smile that transformed her face, making her seem almost radiant. "No, Elias, most people wouldn't. You possess a rare kindness, a selflessness that is truly remarkable. She reached into her coat pocket, pulling out a sleek, minimalist phone that Elias recognized as a model far beyond his means. She tapped a few commands. "My driver will be here in about an hour. He's already been dispatched." Elias nodded. "Good, you'll be safe then." Eleanor stepped closer, her blue eyes meeting his. "Elias, I'm not just Eleanor Vance. I'm Eleanor Vance of Vance Global Industries." Elias blinked. Vance Global Industries. The name was synonymous with innovation, technology, and unimaginable wealth. He had seen it on news feeds, in financial reports. He had never imagined he would meet someone from that world, let alone have them sitting in his humble cabin. His jaw dropped slightly. You're the Eleanor Vance," he stammered, a wave of disbelief washing over him. She nodded, a slight amusement in her eyes. "The very same. And last night, the very lost and very cold. Eleanor Vance, you showed me a kindness that money can't buy. And in return, I want to offer you a gift." Elias shook his head, still reeling. No, you don't have to. Just getting you safe was enough." "It's not a gift of obligation, Elias," she said, her voice firm, "but a gift of recognition. I listened to you last night, about your dreams, about your passion for woodworking, for building, for your community. I saw your skill, your integrity, your heart, and I believe in it." She paused, then continued, her words precise and impactful. "Vance Global Industries has a philanthropic arm, the Catalyst Foundation. We invest in individuals and projects that demonstrate exceptional potential for positive impact, often in overlooked areas. Elias, I want to fund your dream." Elias stared at her, speechless. "We will acquire the old mill building in town," Eleanor continued, outlining her plan with a quiet confidence that brooked no argument. "We'll renovate it into a state-of-the-art woodworking facility, a community workshop, equipped with the best tools, the best materials. You will be its director. You will teach the local kids. You will create, and you will build that community center you spoke of. All expenses covered, a salary that allows you to focus solely on your craft and your community, free from financial burden, and a trust fund for your future to ensure you never have to worry again." Elias felt the blood drain from his face. It was too much, too grand, too impossible. He, a struggling carpenter, being offered a life-changing gift by a billionaire. He had simply helped in a snowstorm. "I can't," he finally managed, his voice hoarse. "I can't accept all that. It's too much." Eleanor stepped closer, placing a gentle hand on his arm. "Elias, you gave me something invaluable last night. Your humanity, your simple, unwavering kindness. That is a gift beyond measure. This is not charity. This is an investment in a good man, in a worthy dream, in a community that deserves a chance to thrive. It is a gift that allows you to be truly free to do what you were meant to do, to build, to create, to help." She looked him directly in the eyes. "Let me help you, Elias, just as you helped me." Elias looked at her, at the genuine sincerity in her eyes, at the quiet power of her conviction. He thought of his late wife, of her dreams for him, of his own unspoken hopes that had slowly withered under the weight of daily struggles. He thought of the kids in town who had no opportunities, no creative outlets. He thought of the old mill, decaying and forgotten. A tear, unbidden, traced a path down his weathered cheek. He nodded slowly, a profound sense of awe and gratitude washing over him. "Okay," he whispered. "Okay, Eleanor, thank you." The driver arrived an hour later, a sleek black SUV navigating the newly plowed road. Eleanor, now warm and composed, bid Elias farewell. "You'll hear from my team by the end of the week. Elias, get ready to build." And build he did. The old mill was transformed, brick by painstaking brick, into a vibrant, bustling woodworking hub. Elias, now the respected director, taught classes, mentored young apprentices, and poured his heart into crafting beautiful, functional pieces. The community center, a testament to his vision, became a focal point for the isolated towns, a place for gathering, learning, and connection. Elias's life was irrevocably changed, but he remained the same man. He still lived in his cabin, still found solace in the scent of pine and wood, still approached life with quiet determination. He never forgot the night of the blizzard, the stranger he had helped, and the life-changing gift she had bestowed upon him. Eleanor Vance, true to her word, occasionally checked in, a brief message, a quiet visit. Their connection, forged in the heart of a snowstorm, remained a testament to the unexpected power of human kindness. She had come to the mountains lost and vulnerable, and he, a simple man, had offered her sanctuary. In return, she had seen his true worth, his unseen potential, and had given him the freedom to build, not just with wood, but with hope, a legacy born from a single act of selfless help in a blinding snowstorm. The billionaire's gift was not just financial, it was the gift of possibility, handed from one kind soul to another, forever changing the landscape of a man's life and a community's future.